Okay, everybody's got a fucking podcast. I mean, we have a podcast, so obviously anyone can do it.
Wait, this is a podcast?
Are you recording right now?
Technical difficulties.
No, you don't have to say anything. I'm going to edit it out.
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
I put mayonnaise on a pickle.
It was not the best, but it might have been the worst.
Do my feet? I mean, my feet stink, right?
Yeah. So, let's finish up the Oceans series with Oceans 8.
Mm-hmm. This is closer to the amount of oceans I thought there were.
Still about doubled, but yeah.
Yeah. I knew it wasn't 13, though. I was pretty confident.
Or 12 or 11, yeah.
11 had a shot for a minute there, but I was like, maybe. Maybe.
As far as plot on this one, again, like let's not reinvent the wheel here. You know, we meet Debbie Ocean. She plans a heist. They do it. You know,
Classic.
we don't have to really go through the whole thing. The likes. I said a new take, couple decent jokes, definitely entertaining. Very elaborate plan with a couple tips of the hat to the old movies. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah.
What'd you like?
No, I kind of the same thing. I really did like that this didn't feel like it was like just a straight up girl power, reinterpretation thing. Because I always have a little bit of the worry of that is that we kind of sacrifice the plot just for, we got an all female cast and like that's like the selling point almost and not the actual story, especially when it's on like a franchise that has, good plot points. Good formula for how they present the information. Mm-hmm. So I was really glad. I was entertained throughout this. I thought it was a good movie and that it didn't get, I guess, drowned out in them kind of going for the female cast or for even just, I guess, a new lead and a new team in general. That next generation, quote unquote. I thought they did a real good job on that.
My dislikes. Felt like it should have just been left alone in general, even though the movie wasn't bad.
Sure.
Soderbergh was a producer on this, so I guess he didn't completely disapprove. So, I guess that kind of says something. But it did seem like in the 13 commentary that he was saying how he always intended Oceans to be a trilogy, and he wasn't into doing a 14 or anything like that.
But he's probably into money, so I'm thinking
probably is into money.
That did it for him.
And so yeah, not sure if all the timelines line up with the actual heist, but I guess they kind of jump cut, the time periods there. So during the whole heist. So I guess it makes sense. I guess they did a good job of cut here, cut here, cut here. Oh, when you're these movies have a habit of just going, oh, you thought this was happening because that's what we showed you on screen?
You fool.
Well, this was what was happening behind the scenes. How could you have missed it, you fucking idiot? So I felt like they did that again.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean that's overall. Also, the thought that that Danny has a sister, and then there was all these times with the with what's her face, Tess showing up in 12. All these times that they were in a bind, and they didn't call this sister Debbie,
who's apparently really good.
Who's
at this
apparently
kind of
a
shit.
fucking awesome thief.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I guess that goes a little bit back to the timeline because she was in prison for 5 years.
Well, right, but I mean, when was Ocean's 12? I mean, we're talking if 11 was in 2001.
Oh shit.
This is in 2018.
Yeah.
So maybe.
You're right.
Anyway, plus, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably just being a dick there, though. But I mean, and granted, this Debbie character, because we never heard anything about Danny's family, really.
Yeah, but apparently the sister and the dad are both criminal masterminds.
Yeah. Apparently everybody steals except for her Aunt Ida.
Yeah. Good for her. She's a baker, I think, something like that. I forget.
Homemaker.
Homemaker. Okay.
Yeah. Probably doesn't. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. What did you dislike?
I kind of liked how maybe like loosely tied together this team was in comparison to, kind of what it feels like. I know everyone else was, I guess, they had a couple randos, a couple people that they phoned in and were like, hey, we know a guy who can do a thing.
Yeah.
And this one I felt like was just even more kind of loosely stapled together. We still got a pickpocket off the street, which granted, Linus was kind of in that same boat. But I feel like, Rusty and Danny probably had more research done on Linus to know why
they
that
knew his dad
made way more sense, right?
Yeah.
But for Constance, the pickpocket gal, she was just really good at pickpocketing. It's like that was the criteria. That's all they were looking for. We had I forget her name, Kelly's character from The Office. So whatever her actual actress's name is.
Yeah, I don't remember her name at all.
I feel bad. I'm usually bad with names, so this is normal for me.
Yeah.
But all she was good at was knowing what diamonds are.
Yes.
And like that was her skill set. So it's like it just seemed like an odd mix of like not the, and then we had the fashion designer lady. And it's like we had
Rose, I do remember.
Rose, yeah. And so we just had an odd mix of like professional criminals and then like just some like
kind of civilians.
Yeah.
That you don't think would maybe hold up under the pressure of police questioning kind of deal.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess just overall like the lower importance on kind of both, I guess, our pickpocket and for our jeweler. It's like neither of them contributed a whole ton outside of, I moved some things quick in my hands without people catching me, or I cut up a diamond, with the little metal segments holding it together.
Yeah.
It's like neither of those were really like highlights on any particular type of skill, I felt. And I just felt like they did a better job in the other movies of like highlighting people's specialties.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that was my pain point.
For my bad trailer, I said I don't know if you can really get one out of this movie because again, kind of like 13, it seems like it is what it is. But I said maybe it's just you make it look like it's completely about the Met Gala, in some way. I don't know.
Yep.
I didn't really have any great ideas as far as the trailer goes.
Yep. So one of mine was the same thing, just have it all be like straight up fashion show related. Yeah. So I'm thinking something along the lines of I can't think of that movie. Lindsay would know it if she was here. It's the one where it's like, you're not going to Paris. It's something about some fashion thing or whatever. But it's like that, it's all just fashion related. And then the other one I had was if we just take away all the scenes with Anne Hathaway and the like very horny eyes that she had like throughout a lot of this, where like she's holding and wearing the diamond and like is just getting a little sultry on herself.
Yeah.
And then like the scenes we have with Becker later on, I was like, we'd probably just cut this into like a 50 Shades of Grey spinoff type of thing. And it would still add up if we just used those scenes. So
yeah.
And then also, if we just flip the plot focus entirely, and the focus was on the insurance investigator guy, and like just the pretty much just focus on him, I guess, and what he was doing rather than like the actual like crime that took place.
Yeah.
But those are ones I had.
Nice. Bad summary. I had 2, or no, I had 3. Oh, I had 3. Look at that.
Look at you.
I said women ruin everything? No. The second was old family friend comes to visit because, supposedly that insurance guy busted the father and brother and her. And then I said celebrity takes up crime to make friends.
Pretty much. No, that was pretty good. Bad summaries I had was on the fashion designer. Fashion designer takes up life of crime. And then women's support group goes to fancy dinner.
There you go. On my bad casting, I said Rebel Wilson as Debbie. The girl who plays Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect.
That'd be good.
And then I said Betty White as Daphne.
Oh my gosh. R.I.P. Betty White.
Yes.
So not even like bad casting, but like for whatever reason, I was like pretty confident Melissa McCarthy was in this movie.
Okay.
So just anywhere that we could have thrown her in would have been good. And then this was kind of a weird one. I was thinking Aubrey Plaza as Lou.
Okay.
Just because of that kind of quiet chaos a little bit, and Aubrey Plaza just being way more weird about it, I think.
Yeah.
That would have been fun. And then for some reason, Jennifer Coolidge as Rose.
Okay. Not sure I know who that is. Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you ever watch Legally Blonde?
Yeah.
So she was, I think her name was like Paulette. She was the girl who worked at the hair salon. She's a blonde, had the big boobs. She was super nervous when she talked to the male dude that was delivering stuff there.
Okay. All right.
So I just thought personality-wise that would be a very kind of ridiculous person to just be put into Rose's job there. But
Yeah. If we blow through notes real quick. Oh wow, I have more than I thought here. But right away we're mirroring the opening of 11. I love that she gets out of jail and it's just one con after the next immediately. We see Ruben, and interesting thing to say at Danny's grave, you better be in there. I didn't think Danny was that much of a bag of shit, but I guess when you look like Clooney, you can probably get away with a lot.
Yep.
Also would have liked some sort of backstory on Danny dying, even if Ruben just kind of sadly, offhandedly mentions it. And then I have a whole big other thing to that note, but I'll save that for what we focus on later.
Yep.
Surprised they didn't just do Anne Hathaway as herself, because I feel like that would have worked just as well.
Yep.
Considering how they did the whole Julia Roberts lookalike thing in 12. I mean,
Yep.
I thought that would have just worked perfect if it's just Anne Hathaway being Anne Hathaway. Oh yeah. So then Debbie talking about them rigging bingo. Lucky if we could clear $1,000 a night. I was like, fuck off.
I too would like to
night.
clear $1,000
Yeah.
a night. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be awful fucking lucky if I could clear $1,000 a night. Yeah. Wouldn't the smarter move have been to swap in the bathroom? Like, just swap right away. But I know then, the plan is revealed later. Again, as these movies like to do. Oh, you thought we were doing what we were showing you? You fucking idiot.
You fool.
So, obviously, I guess they needed it so they could steal the rest of the stuff. So, never mind on that one, I guess. However, the magnet latch makes, it fell off when you were running a huge doubt, because Tammy and Rose would have been huge suspects, because Rose was like, show me that magnet again, to the security guys. And then Tammy being the one that goes, found it.
Mm-hmm.
So that just instantly makes them huge fucking suspects.
Not to mention it was already clasped back when they picked it up. So how
Yes.
did it become unclasped?
Yes, how did it... Yeah. How did it bounce up off of her... Yeah, okay. Off of her neck and all that bullshit. So, also don't know if Claude was going to jail that quick, or if they really had enough to pin it on him, but whatever. If you're the guy checking the necklace back in, do you really even fucking say anything? I mean, who cares? It's in a vault underground that doesn't get used for anything. It's the first time they're pulling it out of the vault in forever, and diamonds just have whatever value humans put on it, so I don't know. Maybe just shut the fuck up, because no one's going to ever pull it out of this safe again.
Sure.
I like the quote, why are you doing this? I don't have that many close female friendships. And then the other quote when the insurance investigator is talking to Claude, why would this guy, who's got everything, and he's got those two fake tree things in the corner, he goes, 2 of these want to steal a necklace. And then I said yen, because apparently so that was the second cameo of our guys from the previous movies. Apparently there was supposed to be a Linus appearance that was cut from some like Me Too movement that somebody took like a comment of Linus's wrong, I guess.
Okay.
So that was a whole dumb thing. But what would have been great in the deleted scenes was the cut Linus scene. But apparently we just have to act like it
Was never
fucking
recorded.
existed.
Yeah.
And we have to, so that was kind of dumb.
Let down.
Because the deleted scenes were not even worth mentioning. But I'm glad we got to see the significance of her buying the little toy submarine there with Yen. Because that had completely left my mind. The fact that she went in a
100%.
store. I was like, why are you here? And, then we never saw it again. I was like, okay. And then we see it. And then in the end there, I said, is Anne Hathaway directing herself? Because that girl
I
looked
had
a lot
no
like
idea
her.
what was going
I was
on at
real
the end there.
confused.
She had a body double, I guess.
Yeah, that's my notes.
Good. Dun, 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 dun. Number one, I just liked. I like Sandra Bullock. I like seeing her on TV. And she was hot in this, so that was a good time. But also R.I.P. Danny Ocean.
Yes.
I didn't like the fact that like our kind of introduction to her is kind of like the low tier thief interactions of like just picking things up off the shelf and be like, I'm gonna return this.
Yeah.
And then, try to get the stuff there. And it's like, well, can you at least put it in a bag? It's like, how would the alarm still not go off when you walked out?
Sure.
None of that stuff had gotten scanned, but that's whatever. But just felt like it was very, like, low-tier thief comparatively. But then that went up a little bit once it was, like, the little hotel swap there. I was like, okay, so she's smart. She just, is working her way back up because she's got, like, $43 right now.
Yeah.
It's fine. I was glad we got to see Ruben. Glad that we got to talk a little bit on there, but still gave us no real useful information on what happened. So that was a weak sauce.
Yeah.
A little disappointed in Debbie just being like, I want jewels. Like that was the whole thing. She's like, I want all the diamonds.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, it's money, but like just the presentation of it was just like, hey, jewels. I'm a woman. I like pretty shiny things. It's like, really, is that?
Why do you want to do it? I'm good at it.
Yeah. Is that what we're resigning ourselves to? But yeah. And I was like, it's funny how Deb is so opposite of Danny. Danny was cool, calm, collected, doesn't get lost in his emotions, except for the first one where most of the heist motivation was to get the girl.
Was him lost in his emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, museum robbery and it's super low budget. Sign me up. 7 people, $20K. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we're in the team assembly stage. Everyone got a backstory that I didn't really care too much about. Mostly pickpocket girl and jewel girl. It's like both of you are kind of irrelevant and you don't contribute much. So
one thing I forgot to write down was how much do you think Subway paid for the ad? But yeah,
a lot. But I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
That was a good scene in general. It's just them chatting while she's ordering her sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess at least 100 yen. But I did write in there Subway Eat Fresh.
Yeah.
And then Oh, and then I think this was for 9-ball. I was like, is this our sub for Basher? Because I don't know. It seemed like
I think she did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like we're subbing people in a little bit, but that was Rihanna apparently, right?
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Rihanna's awesome. Pickpocket's cool, but like street pickpocket, is this supposed to be our Linus parallel? Doesn't really land for me. We've got our 2 big brains. We've got our hacker. We've got our pickpocket. We got a designer. We got a diamond expert, and we have Tammy the fence, who's just really good at getting stuff.
Term I've never heard.
Yeah. If you played probably more video games, you'd probably have a fence. It's where you can like throw your stolen stuff into it and get paid.
Okay.
So she's just really good at getting things. Her specialty is procurement,
Yeah.
which I guess is a good skill, seeing as how low budget, they're supposed to be starting off with. If she can just kind of get everything.
Yeah. Really unclear on what her actual thing she did during the day was.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted to elaborate on it because number one, it was just irrelevant. And number 2, I don't know why they harp so much on her being like a mom.
But was it irrelevant? Because like how?
Yeah. It's like, why do you have like 18 bikes on your wall? And I don't know. Yeah. Her whole part seemed odd. I mentioned that the soundtrack really didn't land for me like whatsoever in this movie. The first 3, I think, just because they did a lot of like kind of more, I guess, the classical songs and everything I felt was very casino-y.
Yes.
I felt like that landed
Casino-y
pretty well
without going too heavy on like that 60 vibe where everything was just that da-da-da-da-da.
Absolutely. But yeah, just the soundtrack in this one didn't do anything to me, and at this point I was just like, hey, I don't like any of the songs they're playing. They mean nothing.
Yeah.
the glasses that were used to scan out the necklace and kind of get the dimensions there, I was like, it is absolutely ridiculous that it has the technology to scan it and only transmit that information. Like, there's no level of local storage where it can just hold it,
Right.
and then we can get it from it later. I was like, that is such a failure of this piece of technology.
Yes.
And then when Constance and the other girl were going through the Tinder interaction, and I was like showing her how to use Tinder. I was like, how is this going to add to the narrative in any way, shape, or form?
And it didn't.
Well, we got like 5 seconds of it at the end where she's on a date with that
Right,
dude
so
in
it
Paris.
didn't.
Yeah, so it did nothing. But yeah, at this point,
She could have been on a date without Tinder in the end of the movie.
and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of round two'd on how low budget this seemed to be, but I guess having the fence just made it so they could get everything they wanted. You know, they get the fancy glasses, they get like the listening devices. It seems stupid. Yeah. Deb getting betrayed, Becker not willing to kind of take the fall with her was stupid, but I guess that works as motivation.
Yep.
Don't run a job in a job. It's the Deb and Danny parallel running really hard there.
Mm-hmm.
This group doesn't believe in any level of central operations because they're like monitoring everything from a laptop in a park, which is probably got to be like the shittiest service area you could be at. Anne Hathaway was getting mad horn at herself when she was putting on that necklace.
Yeah.
It was very obnoxious, and I don't know why they went that hard
She
with
had
it.
so many sexual noises.
Yeah.
Just like the,
It's ridiculous. And granted, it's Anne Hathaway, so she's an extremely
do
beautiful
whatever she wants
person.
to
Yeah,
do,
she gets away with it. But yeah, it just seemed like they heavy-handed it too much. I was like, are they trying to make sure the guys are still watching?
Right.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
And then I was like, the magnet on the necklace thing doesn't really make sense with how old the necklace is supposed to be. Like, obviously that's a
New modification.
modification to it. And then how do magnets work? Because like, how do you have a specialized magnet?
Yeah. Right.
You know, Nine Ball's name actually being Leslie is hilarious. The dress that Anne Hathaway showed up with, because I can't remember her name in the
Daphne,
right? I knew it was a D, but I was just gonna call her Deb, and that wasn't it.
The other Deb.
Yeah. So yeah, Daphne shows up to the event, and she's in like this weird, ugly pink dress, and it just seemed like that was not
that
the
goes
move.
on for like a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until they sit down at dinner, because then like it's all gone,
Yeah.
and it's like a shorthand. Maybe it had a train they took off, whatever. I don't know how dresses work either.
Yeah.
I liked Deb doing the pep talk to herself and saying, "Do it for the 8-year-old dreaming of being a criminal." You know, I thought that was just a funny thing.
Also, the girl who's in the stall as she starts her
Yeah,
speech,
just like-
and she kind of stops for a minute, like, okay, moving on.
And then Daphne, when after she eats the soup, getting sick, runs to the bathroom and stuff, and then Constance is the one helping her in there. I was like, hey, I don't think you're not gonna feel a 6-pound necklace like coming off of your neck.
Yeah.
And then obviously it comes in at the end that she was at least a little bit in on it, right? And then how do they actually like sell that the necklace just fell off because of the magnet component of it there, and yeah, just the convenience of people being too interested in it. Like it didn't add up.
Yeah.
It's like we were setting ourselves up for failure here.
The fact that they just give up on it, and it's like, yeah, we can explain later.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then I was like, okay, so far like this is going pretty smooth. And that's when I'm like, well, what am I missing? Like, what's the subplot I'm missing of when stuff goes south? Yeah, I was just waiting for the ball to drop or the other shoe to drop. We get the investigator from the insurance company who seems like the most motivated guy out of any of the people involved to do it. He's like, well, did you check the sewer system? Well, no. He's like, I did.
Yeah.
And then he's, shoving the camera in there. He's checking it out. And I was like, this guy cares like way more about finding these diamonds, which, he's the insurance guy. So I guess that he has a logical hand in it, right? But, yeah, I'm just like, he's doing 100% the mostest right now. But also weird that he had like no real interest in like going after Deb. When they have that conversation in the diner, like
Yeah.
he was just like, hey, oh, I won't turn you in or anything. I just want the diamonds.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what if I can get you some of the diamonds? and incriminate somebody. He's like, yeah, that's fine. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, whatever.
So it seemed like a very
I'm
odd.
here for a good time, not a long time.
Honestly, it seemed like such an odd flip to be like, hey man, like I'm gonna find these people. I'm gonna find who done it, and then he just switches over to a, yeah, I don't give a shit. That's fine.
Yeah. It's like, will you take part of it? Yeah.
Whatever. Anne Hathaway isn't dumb. She just doesn't really care that much and is lonely.
Yeah.
I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're just priming Becker to be the prime suspect. We get way too horny again. But we got our incriminating evidence. But I want to know, does she still bone him?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, she had to have.
Yeah.
Because, like, he wasn't still handcuffed to the thing. I thought, like, did she drug him? Like, we can't really drug people and then have sex with them. You know, that'll be a whole thing. We can't do that on TV.
Or it's like the ultimate feminist power movie.
Yeah.
And they're all just going around drugging dudes. Fucking.
I don't know. I don't think that would go over very well with anyone either.
Well.
But yeah, I have to imagine that she boned him because he
Yeah,
was at
she
least
did.
done.
No, she was a horny gal too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the whole thing. Were you ever alone with Mr. Becker? And there's that quick cut of her like with a leg up on the wall. They're making out. And she's like, no.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And then I like that we got Yen in there right at the end. He got to do his,
His yen stuff.
his Yen stuff, which just didn't seem exactly like, anyone could have probably done that. He wasn't fitting in like a tiny little crawl space. He wasn't folding himself up into anything.
He did get in that little
Oh, yeah.
food cart there. So
That's fair. I don't know. It just
but he
seemed
had
like
to get around the lasers and all that. you
Yeah.
know? It's either Yen or Francois getting around lasers.
maybe they should have gotten Francois for that. But no, it was cool just that he got to be in there at all. I like it when we get to have our cameos because it's not like we're just disrespecting the prior franchises and saying like, oh, well, we'll just do it better. We're women.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that he got to be in there. But then once we got to like kind of that real end sequence where it's like well, we didn't just steal the one necklace. While everyone was distracted, we stole all the fancy jewelry necklaces that we showed briefly in the beginning, and we all have like 36 million a pop or something. Apparently 36 is their favorite number.
Yeah.
I just keep reusing it. And that just seemed like so unrealistic. Just that like I don't know. Just the whole thing seemed so unrealistic. I was like, how was this such a focus, but then we still had time to scout out like, oh yeah, we're just going to steal like all these other jewels too. And also swap them with zirconium. But we all were aware of it. We just didn't show it on camera yet.
Yeah, and they don't talk about the plan at all except for, we're just going to call her Kelly because we can't remember her name. But
Sorry,
except
Kelly.
for, hey, Kelly, just make all these fake jewels and I guess you won't mention it to anybody.
Yeah. I think it's a Mita.
Sounds right. But yeah, that whole thing of you don't show any of it on camera, and then also the money is already being like you're already getting the money, but all the necklaces are still in the fucking fridge.
Yeah.
So you didn't sell any of it
And
yet.
also sponsored by Budweiser.
I saw a couple Stellas in there as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that even just on its own seems stupid because like, well, number one, like that's the community fridge. Like anyone could have opened that up and be like, oh hey, like where'd all these necklaces come from? Like it would have ruined the big reveal for everybody. So like that part just seems stupid. And then it's like, hey, well, why are we keeping the ice on ice? Like what are we doing?
And then the fact that God damn it. I always do a thing where I have a thought, and then by the time the sentence ends, the thought disappears, and I always go in so confident. I'm like, here comes the thought.
Yep.
And then it just goes away.
It's fine.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. If we stare lovingly into each other's eyes for long enough, it may come to you.
No, I'll probably just get lost in your soul.
Yeah.
Well, God damn it. I had a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the ice on ice, the big jewel stuff at the end there, everyone's just kind of having a party a little bit, and it's stupid.
Oh, so the whole thing with, so they sell the initial necklace, right?
Mhm.
Like the whole plan is like, okay, they break up the necklace that we get off of Daphne.
Mm-hmm. And it's like into earrings and like other little bits that they just reform.
And they have these old ladies sell them, and then a big sum of money gets deposited into Claude Becker's account.
Yeah.
Okay, so the money's there, and then the feds are going to seize those assets. And then all these bitches that were part of the heist that don't know that the other necklaces got stolen are in the room like, okay, cool, so he's in jail. So how do we get our money again? Because we just gave him all the money from all the things that we sold and one got seized. And that money's going to get seized. And they're like, oh, yeah, we stole all the other stuff. Don't worry, you'll get your money.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
And again, with the amount of knowledge that, like, at least half of that crew was aware of, that they were stealing all those other necklaces,
Yeah.
it's like, that wouldn't have even been a question. It would have just been so when did we get the money from those other necklaces we stole?
Yeah. And you're telling me in a group of gals, like, that information's not going to get passed around?
What are you trying to say about
even
gals
in a
and
group
groups?
of guys? Like, fucking everybody just talks.
Yeah.
You ever worked in a workplace?
Well, you know who doesn't
Everybody
talk? Danny and
gossips.
Rusty.
Well, yeah, but they don't have to say anything. They just know.
They just know. The brainwave is just constantly
Yeah.
firing information back and forth.
Relationships are...
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. But they can be.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, that whole bit, definitely not as well thought out as some of the other stuff, but I think we did conclude that some of the other stuff in the other movies wasn't as well thought out either. So,
Yeah. There's always spots where you lose and could do a little bit better, so.
There's not a bulletproof premise in all these movies, and that's okay.
It's okay.
I'm okay with that.
We're here to have fun.
Yeah. Good time, not a long time.
Yeah. I got to say, though, the rewatchability on this one's a little lower for me, I think. Outside of just, maybe just going to the parts with Anne Hathaway in it, but.
For other reasons, yeah. So all right, so this was the part I kind of skipped over because I didn't want to just like blow by it.
Sure.
So if Debbie's talking about the fact that her dad, her brother, and her have all been busted by this insurance guy, right? That would imply that her dad's a thief.
Right.
Okay. Debbie's at Danny's grave. It says he was born in 1963. Ocean's 11, the 1960 version, takes place in 1960. So is Danny Jr., and then Danny Sr. did that shit that didn't work in 60, finally settles down with that gal that he's fighting with, has a couple kids named Danny and Debbie, and then kind of moves on, and then when does Danny get busted by this insurance guy? It has to be probably later in his life, right? Because, James Corden's character looks pretty damn young. But I don't know. So he goes back to thieving at some point. Maybe the parents get divorced. Maybe that's why, the kids are the way they are. They're thieves too. They're like, shut up, Mom. Dad's cool. And then they're stealing stuff on the weekends. However it works,
Yeah.
are all 5 of these movies connected? That's a cool, fun thought.
That definitely kind of has some room to stick there, I think, for sure. So, yeah. And I guess if there was the true intent of that, maybe that's something that would have come up on the commentary and stuff that you watched a bit. But
There was no commentary on 8.
okay. I feel like if there was, maybe they would have touched on, be like, hey, well, with the way timing works out, it's possible.
I think it had to be intentional.
Yeah. At least intentional enough for us to think about it and talk about it.
Yeah. I'm saying that's how it is.
Yeah. I'll take it.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yep. Unless you didn't.
Unless you didn't, in which case, sorry about that.
Yeah.
We strive. But also, I would. So the first part of that note that I did read, though, that I would like to kind of expand on is, couldn't we have gotten some sort of backstory on why Danny's dead? 63 to 18. I guess he's still kind of old. What's the math on that? 40, 55? 55, that's not like crazy old.
Sure.
Are we talking cancer? Are we talking, like gig gone wrong? Right?
Mm-hmm. And where's his waifu now?
Yeah, where's Tess? Did they have kids? It sounded like they were having kids because, then Danny is like, in the end of 13 is like, you should settle down, Rusty, have some kids. So I don't know. Is there kids? Is there a couple little? Is there going to be a fucking Ocean's 47 in a couple years where these kids and like a bunch of hackers or something?
Yeah, that's too. It's literally just gonna be a bunch of like crypto schemes. Just gonna be a bunch of sweaty dudes in front of a computer for an hour and a half. It's like, oh, I'm selling my NFT apes and
Ocean's
Ape Yacht
55.
Club. Yeah.
And they just got rooms and rooms of hackers, and
Yeah.
you know they're crypto mining in in America because of the war in Ukraine,
Yeah.
shutting all the miners down. Right? That's a thing. I think I vaguely got that concept right.
There were a lot of like mining farms. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Not sure I completely understand mining crypto, but we're not going to go into that here.
It's a computer and it's trying real hard just to do a thing so you get a thing out of it.
That'll work.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any more that I want to crazy expand on. Do you?
Sure. I really wish that the insurance investigator guy in general would have had a much more developed subplot in this, just because I feel like he would have been that tie, I think, to like what happened previously.
Yes.
Like, I feel like if we could have abbreviated some of the other segments and then gave like him like another like 10-20 minutes,
Yeah.
like that could have been a good opportunity for us to go into like what happened to Danny, find out a little bit about like the history and stuff. Like that really could have connected the whole.
Busted Danny on a life insurance policy for Tess because he did like a heist too many, ran out of money, needed to give Tess money. Now Tess and the kids, they're all just poor, and then Tess just drives them all three off a cliff.
Yeah, no, that adds up.
Because he busted Danny on the life insurance policy.
It all makes
Tess
sense.
didn't get
now.
any money.
Yeah,
And then
I don't
Tess
know.
drives her and the kids off a cliff.
I feel like Dad would have been a little bit more pissed if that was the case, but
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's why she was sad in the end. She goes, "You would have loved it."
yeah.
You know, and she was all crying and stuff, and you know, Tess is good. They're still out looking for Tess and the kids. You know, she flew to another country, drove off a cliff. Was the whole thing.
But I don't know about, you know, the way that Danny is, though. I don't know if he would have loved it so much as a, like, you know, just the way that he is as a character, and then also it being his sister, just the judging and shitting on it the whole way through kind of thing. Like, I don't think it would be as much of like a, oh, like, good job, that's a good idea kind of thing. It'd just be like, hey, well, this is stupid. Why didn't you do this, this, and this?
Yeah.
You know, it would just be the full, like, razzing on him rather than the
I know
full
a
support.
I know a pickpocket. You don't have to use her.
Yeah, no, that would have been good. Yeah, so I really wish the insurance investigator would have gotten a little bit more of a plot there, because again, it started off really strong, and I was kind of like really interested in what that was going to bring to the story.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of fell flat with him just being like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. It just
Bye now.
it just didn't really do anything there, so that was kind of a letdown. And then dun, 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 dun. Yeah, just the overall talent spread across this team is garbage. We have a couple specialists and then basically civilians, and it never should have worked out as well as it did. There's no way.
Yeah.
But yep, I think I covered kind of everything else I had on it.
Cool. Well, I gave it a 6.8. It's not quite a 7. It's not bad, but it didn't blow me away, and it's not in my rewatch rotation. And again, I liked the insurance investigator guy, but the fact that it indeed was James Corden, you know, he was funny, but I feel like he's just too big of a caricature in and of himself.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, it kind of felt cheesy once he comes in, and, you know, you already got Anne Hathaway just kind of being a caricature of, I mean, I don't know what Anne Hathaway's like when she's not in a movie, but
Still hot.
Yeah, well, hot, yes.
That's just her character trait, but
I will say the things that I thought would make this movie a little cheesy, like Rihanna acting in it.
yeah.
I thought Rihanna was
she
one of the
did
better
fine,
parts
yeah.
of it, you know. I thought she was really good. Yeah, so yeah, 6.8. Not going to be, it's not in the rotation, but it was fun.
I feel it. Yeah, 6.5 is kind of what I was feeling for this one. Something I would probably watch, with my wife again.
Yeah.
Because I was telling her about it this morning. She's like, "Oh, I'd watch that." I'm like, "Yeah, girl power, woo."
Yeah.
But probably not going to be on the rotation, I don't think.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, an Ocean's Marathon of like 11, 12, 13.
That's all you need.
But I don't know that I'm going 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I heard that it was 8, I remember when it actually first came out, I kind of thought it would go prequel a little bit since they went with the lower number.
Mm-hmm.
but obviously
But
they didn't.
We had 8 folks.
Yeah, just 8 folks, and it was in 2018. Yada yada. But a prequel would have been. I don't know.
Would have been kind of neat.
Yeah.
Even if it was just like a young Danny and Rusty, like first heist kind of stuff. Like honestly, I feel like the potential energy for a like movie where it's like a, you know, the first heist where it's like most things go wrong rather than doing a really good job at planning.
Yeah.
It's most things go wrong and them figuring out how to get out of all the mistakes rather than just most things going right and them only accounting for 1 or 2 things. And like it's like lessons that would be learned and reflected on like other things that happen in the other movies. Like crazy potential energy there.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm all done.
Go team.
Cool. Well, subscribe to us on the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just type in Constant Crisis. Probably the only Constant Crisis. You emails constantcrisishotline@yahoo.com, and be back. Thanks for listening, viewing.
Bye.